All right, so the time is officially 2:01. We can go ahead and get started here. I'd like to thank everybody for attending. For those that were out at ISC West, it was nice to see you. Hopefully we got a chance to touch base. So today we're going to be covering, let me go ahead and share my screen here. Let me get to the Speco Tech website. So today's webinar is going to cover, again, Speco Technologies RMR opportunities. Learn to leverage Speco products and services to increase RMR. So today is probably going to be a shorter webinar. What we're going to do is we're going to just talk a little bit about what RMR opportunities are currently in the surveillance system world there that I think a lot of you probably are already working with. So the first thing we're looking at here is industry standards for RMR opportunities. So from being on both sides of it, this is going to be more of just a talking point, which I think is pretty obvious that, you have opportunities in the maintenance agreements for those camera systems that you're installing. That's probably one of the biggest opportunities that are out there right now. Two would be your cloud-based opportunities, and this is going to be strictly on your cloud-based platform first, and then some additional RMR opportunities to beef up that the few extra bucks each month will be to add the Cloud AI Plus, and which we're going to go through each of these. Third would be the analytics package that Speco offers. So all of our analytics are built into the cameras, so that there's no reoccurring monthly fees for you. But that does not mean that you cannot send that out to the end user. And just as kind of an industry standard, what we're seeing a lot of is encompassing analytics with your maintenance agreement. And it's more of the management and setup process of those analytics. So I guess starting out, what we'll do is we will start with the maintenance RMR opportunities. So a lot of your camera systems that you have, let me log into one here. We'll talk about how we're going to leverage maintenance. And so, right off the bat, let's just use the dashboard. One of the biggest topics that we'll cover during this webinar is we'll just use our dashboard kind of as our portal. For those that aren't familiar with the dashboard, it is a new management product that we offer that is available for dealers. The dashboard is out there to help you manage all those cameras, the cameras and recorders out in the field. So if we go over here to log in, let's get logged in. So we'll talk a little bit first about maintenance, and when we're into a maintenance account, what are some things that we can do with Speco camera systems? Well, there's a few different levels that we can start on. The first one, go ahead and connect to it. The first one would be on the, let me go ahead and get this done. I'm still, give me 1 second here. I'm experiencing a little technical difficulties. All right, so while we're going to let this load up here, we're going to talk about recorder level opportunities as far as RMR goes. So regardless of whether you're using the dashboard or not, each of our NRE recorders is equipped to be able to give you camera level health checks, recorder level health checks, and what those go into is a little bit. Let's see if we can get on the system. So auto maintenance, one thing that we've been seeing a lot of is all network devices like to be able to be power cycled every so often. So we're seeing a lot of dealers that are coming in and selecting a 30-day interval date, and then a point of time would be obviously right at midnight. And so what that's going to allow you to do is be able to do a power cycle every so often automatically. Now the health checks that we'll look at here, as far as on a dashboard level and on the recorder. So you'll see here that we're showing disk status of disk 1 and 2. We're showing what is the record period of those disks. Some other statuses that you can, and all these statuses I'm showing you are things that can be checked. Network status, record status, alarm status. Now, if we go more into the intelligent analytics, as far as what can we have manually? Settings. So what can we have manually triggered by the recorder to be able to see if we have cameras offline? Let me do this. I'm getting some network issues here, so let me just pull directly into my unit here. I apologize. It wouldn't be a webinar without some problems. So 168.1.228. All right, so we're gonna log into the home base here. So back under AI event, you'll see here that we have on IPC, IP camera offline. It's giving me each of my names. And so what it's asking me here to the right is what do I want to happen if this camera goes offline? So we can have a snapshot done from that camera. We can trigger a digital deterrent, and that can be a digital message. So that message is going to be something that I have pre-recorded on my, I have actually taken a USB drive, stuck it in the recorder, and uploaded it in my digital deterrent tab. So I have the ability to be able to upload a message that says something like your camera is offline if you want the end user to be notified. You can send a push notification. So by doing on or off, it's going to send a push notification to whoever has the app that camera has went offline. You can trigger an alarm out. So some other things that we've seen as far as creativity goes, as far if you want to trigger, for those that are using cellular communicators, if you wanted it to trigger besides an email, if your alarm station wanted to get a notification, I've seen cameras as far as going to the alarm out of a cellular communicator to where if a camera went down, it notified the alarm, and we can come in here to alarm out and address that particular alarm out as a camera zone out. So it allows you to be able to trigger an alarm out, which can also be I've seen people do lights, whether that be a red or a green light. If a red light is on, then that means you have a camera problem. A preset would be to where if we had a PTZ that was had a preset on it to be able to go to that camera. So if this camera went out, we could configure a preset and then select that preset. And then if we had a PTZ on the system, it could pan over and zoom in on that camera so we could see what happened when that camera went down automatically if that camera were to go off. We can trigger the buzzer on the recorder. We can have a pop-up video that was the last video recording that before it went down, pop-up message box. And then here's where you get into some more detail as far as an email. So email notification is usually the way that we get the notifications going out. If you're going to do email notification, we'll hop over real quick and say that you must. So you'll see before we jump off that, you'll see here that we have email here as far as if we want to be notified if a camera goes offline. I want to show you the other, you'll see here under exemption alarms. So these are the type of notifications. If you want the recorder to tell you if we have an IP address conflict, disk error, disk full, illegal access, network disconnection. This is an important one here. This is what our dashboard is already showing us. But if you had somebody that wasn't using the dashboard or you're not currently using the dashboard and you still want these notifications, you'll see here that we can have the same digital message, push notification, alarm out trigger, pop-up message box, and you can also have the email as well. So no disk, hard drives pulled out, alarm servers offline. You still have the options here. Now this is going to be more of your recorder side, and this is going to be on your camera side as far as what can we trigger. For those that aren't familiar with the email setup, you're going to see it a few other places. Let's just go in here and show you kind of where you'll see it. So when we have a camera and we go into trigger mode after we set up our analytic, we put up what we're looking for. Under trigger mode here, you'll also notice that you see an email box where you can select that email. So that's if you want to get an email notification of an analytic event. Now, I get a lot of questions on saying I've checked the box. I don't understand why it's not working. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go into system. Actually, we're going to go in the network. We're going to go into email. So for your email notifications to work, if you're trying to set those up to your own service department, you will need to fill out this SMTP server information. Okay, now this comes into play. You can have your own, or Speco, we have another way that if you're using our dashboard, something to tie all this together. So that I showed you how to do this on a standalone level from IP camera offline or exemption alarm. So that's how you configure if you want to know if the cameras are offline or if the recorder's offline. Now on a dashboard level, you'll notice under healthcare, if we select on a certain site, that let this load. It's showing me my different discs, and then it's actually showing me all the statuses of my camera, model numbers, IP addresses, ports, everything is filled out nice and neat for me. So if I want to know, by default, the dashboard is going to be showing you recorder status that it's online. Okay. If we want cameras, if we want camera status, there's something we need to do. And so this is a big one. If we're offering maintenance agreements to dealers and we want to know if a camera is on offline, whether we want to know or you want that customer to know, to be able to do that through the dashboard, what we must do is we must first come over here to the settings, go to user manual, and we're going to skip down to page about 61, 62. And once you do this once or twice, it's a pretty, I would print this off if you're going to be setting up cameras on a user level. Let's go down. All right, here we go. Okay, so health status of sublevels and sites. If we are setting up maintenance agreements and we're telling those customers that we're going to be monitoring your cameras, if you want to get monitoring of cameras from the dashboard, you'll notice here that there's a few steps you must do. So you'll see here, all clear, site needs attention. If we don't have this process done, then we're only going to see if that device is online or offline. So what we need to do is set the recorder to send tampering and video loss notifications to the dashboard. So this is going to take you through a step-by-step process of selecting the settings on the recorder. Click the email, which is where we're at now. And you'll notice that it's actually giving you this SMTP server information. And again, so this is on page 64. What you would do is take this page and we would go back into our recorder. Oops. And you would enter that right here. Under email, you would enter that SMTP information there. And then following that, you'll need to add a recipient for notifications. You'll need to enter the following email address. This is important, alarms@speco-.com, and click add. Once added, click apply. And then, so now if you want to set up video loss notifications under the email interface, click IP camera offline, and just so you know where that's at. Right here. And this is just what I was showing you previously. This is the camera level off what we wanted to do. And so we're just going to go through the steps from the email interface, click IP camera offline or general interface. So what it's going to do is have you apply on whether you want it to be tampering. And then you can also see here from the IP camera offline interface, click AI event. So there's a few different things as far as what you can do with those notifications and how deep you want to go with them. But start on page 61, and that's going to get your tampering set up, your video loss, and all it's going to do is give you more robust options. Future roadmap for us is to kind of set all this up a little bit more automatic. But what you have to remember is that a lot of people are going to have their own SMTP server information. So we've just kind of given you that step of ours. So that's why it's something that a lot of people use their own. We offer you one and then give you the steps on how to make that work. So that's going to be setting up the dashboard. And let's get back to our dashboard. And so what if you want to get into the camera status notifications, that's what you must do is follow page 61 through 68 on the user manual. Let's see if we have any questions at this point. No questions. If anybody has any questions as we go, just feel free to just drop it in there. And so what you're going to notice is different is that, so this particular device here, DD1 and DD2 demo, don't think right now that there's any, there's no cameras hooked up to this. But you'll notice here that it's not seeing any type of errors. So I don't have, the only one that I actually have the notification set up on is the Speco Office demo, and which everything there is operational, so I'm not getting any errors. But what I would see is, and something that is neat that just got released recently was that, so it's not showing me, it knows that I'm running a beta version. This is a beta version of our 1.47 firmware, but it's not giving me an issue on my main account because this is sufficient. But it's also telling me here that firmware update available 1.4756283 blah 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 released. So what it's going to do is tell me it supports Plugin Pro, which resolves the 4 split restriction on Chrome, fixed point-to-point 2.0 direction issue, added ability for users to configure video substream, added the option to manually switch between the main stream and substream during playback. Beta features supports analytics and also our attributes. So what's unique about this is that if you have those customers that ask you, hey, what's this firmware going to do? What did it do that the other one didn't do? Now, if there's a firmware version available, you'll be able to see the difference right here on your dashboard too. So if a customer asks you, hey, there's new firmware we're going to push to you, here's what it fixes. It's a unique feature. So back to the point is that by default, the dashboard is going to show you all of your recorders, give you quick access to those. Now, if we're doing maintenance on recorders for customers, one of the quickest ways that I like to do is you'll see here that I want to connect. Which device do I have here? Let's see. See if I can get into it on this one. Yep. So you'll see here that one of the things with 1.47 that was released that was very, very handy was the ability to be able to come into settings, system, PoE settings. If we're trying to do service on an account and we got a call that came in and said, hey, this camera's locking up, it's not running the analytics, or this camera's not switching to infrared, with network cameras, whether it's a flashlight, something can happen. It happens to everybody's cameras. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen to ours because everybody would know that it's network issues happen. And also network issues can be usually fixed by a quick power cycle. So what you'll notice here is that one of the releases was the ability to do 2 things. One, go into the PoE power management and to be able to select. First, we can see the current wattage that's being pulled by that camera. 2, we have the ability to be able to power cycle those cameras by cycling through on or off and then hitting apply. So if we have a customer, like if this customer's camera was having problems, whether it was locked into IR, I can simply come on here, select off, power cycle that camera, which that one's running non-long. That camera I'm actually using will lead into for the second thing is PoE plug and play settings. So, previously with Speco recorders, this is a big thing too, because if we were running, this was an 8-port all-in-one wall unit. I was previously not able to put a switch on port 1 and run more than one cameras downstream. Now I have the capabilities of being able to turn off. So for me, you'll notice that I've disabled the plug and play on port 1, and then I'm running a Speco switch downstream, and then I have multiple cameras plugged into it. Now I do have to add those manually, but it gives me some opportunities there to where if I'm working with an existing in-series recorder, I can update that customer to the 1.47 version firmware. And I now have the capabilities of whether it's adding cameras downstream from the switch. If we don't have more wires down there, we can do that. Or you can do a point-to-point and send multiple cameras downstream. But as far as your maintenance agreements goes, if you're trying to work on a camera, what is this remote access going to help you with? First, being able to power cycle the camera. But then as far as the dashboard goes, when we pull the dashboard up, if I'm looking at using healthcare and I'm going through to actually see my cameras here, what is nice too is that if I have to roll out a tech or if I have to do a warranty claim, I'm able to come in here and say, okay, you're working on camera 1. It's a 08 FBMS1. The IP address is 192.168.78.101. So if we replace that camera, we know to assign it the same IP address. We know what port it's using. And if we have the cameras online, we're able to push an update. So updates are coming a little bit. I spoke a little soon on that. Firmware version updates pushed online are coming shortly. It's not been released yet. It is something we're playing with. So that is why this 1.47 was released. That's why it kind of synchronizes with the dashboard. A lot of really good things coming as far as remote camera software pushes and those kind of things. So what the dashboard again allows you to do, we're going to recap. It allows us to be able to monitor camera levels. It allows us to be able to monitor recorders, and not just the recorder, but the hard drives independently, as well as any kind of disk errors where that device goes offline. So you're pretty much able to encompass not only with our warranty, whether on which products, whether that's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I'm not in sales, so I can jump around a little bit. But what it does, it also allows you to be able to put a little gift wrap around that too and say, not only is the manufacturer going to warranty, and we're going to warranty this product, we'll stand behind our installation by allowing us to be able to continue to maintenance this in the future. All right, so that covers the maintenance R&R. And obviously, everybody here knows is that the whole name of the game for maintenance agreements is to be able to do the job right the first time, set up your fail safes, which are your dashboard, and then ideally not have to go back out to that account, until you're going to sign another contract or they're going to add something on. And with the dashboard, with Speco analytics, they're very solid, easy to set up, and they also work time after time after time, year after year after year. So use our analytics. If you have any questions as far as analytics go, reach out to me. And so I'm going to be putting in the recording here shortly. Let's just see if I can do that now before I forget. We get a lot of requests for other webinars that we've done. And let's just go ahead and drop this in the chat box now. So that is a link that'll just fill out that form there. So it lets us know who we're sending them to. And there's probably, 10, 15, 16. We're adding them as soon as we edit them. So what we want to do is just make sure that we know who you are. Once you get that form filled out, then you have access to all of our webinars. For anybody that wants to get set up with the dashboard that's currently not set up, I just put in a link there that is a link to get you set up with the dashboard. All right, let's get back into, let's add a few of these things. Always keep the dashboard up because it's just so handy. All right, so we're going to get into now some cloud-based RMR opportunities. So first, let's go to the website. Something at ISC West that I saw was that everybody has cloud solutions, some server-based, some cloud-based. We have a bridge that's being released here in the next, 30 days, pretty close to it, give or take. So, but what we're going to talk about now is what cloud solutions do we have now? What can you be using that Speco has that makes you money now? And I can say from experience that as far as it's interesting. I enjoy the IT side of cameras. I enjoy cameras alone. I enjoy installing them, playing with them. But as far as like actually outside of that realm and in IT, I'm not a big fan of electronics. I'm the kind of guy that says, all right, this isn't going to work. I don't want to waste any more time trying to make it work. I will say though that I have installed probably 10, 12, 13 of our cloud cameras, and it is a very simple process. I probably put it off the first week I was here just because I just know that kind of stuff was cumbersome. Um, I don't have way to show it to you, but on each of our cloud cameras, we'll talk a little bit about it first. Under solutions, Speco Cloud. So it's going to show you first off, don't get confused. Not every camera that Speco has is a cloud compatible camera. There are a lot of them. As you can see here, there's, I don't know, 25, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. There's probably 20 to 25, 30 different cameras. But what you will notice, we have everything 4 megapixel, 5 megapixel. This is what the cloud is going to accept. Anything from a fixed camera to a motorized lens. But we give you robust options when it comes to small form factor, turret camera, dome camera. And what's unique about it is that almost all these cameras have built-in mics too. So many different cameras. And then if you're changing out any existing cameras and somebody wants the bullet with the lens there, but what's unique about this one, it comes with your cloud mount, your 90-degree mount there. So small form factor, everything comes with a back box. These are going to be your cloud cameras. Now, what makes these cloud cameras unique and very simple to use is that when I download the Speco Tech Cloud app, and all I do is hit the plus sign and I go to add camera. Now, whether that's on a dealer side of it, I can do it. I'll pull up the dashboard here in a second. But as far as me installing these from a dealer, all I have to do is take out my account or take out that phone, Speco Tech Cloud. On each of these cameras, there's a QR code on the back of it. It's probably 2 inches by 2 inches. You can't miss it. So when you install the cloud cameras for the first time, they are looking for our cloud server for the first 2 hours that they're plugged into the network. Okay. Once, this is important because it's stuff that's missed a lot. If they're installed more than 2 hours and I go to scan that QR code and attach them, I'm going to get an error. It's simply because it's looking for the cloud cameras are looking to register to the cloud server for the first 2 hours they're plugged in, and then we put a pause on it. And the reason why I said it's not congesting the network, always trying to ping a server, because these cameras can be used on a typical network or on your recorders as well. So if it's been more than 2 hours since you've had them plugged into a PoE port, then simply unplug them and power cycle the power. And then for the next 2 hours, they'll be looking for that cloud server. And you can simply scan them with that QR code. And what it's going to do is prompt you to add a device. Once you scan the QR code, it's going to ask you to give that device a name, a username and password, and then you're going to add it and it's going to pull into your cloud account. Very simple process. And, I've done this a few times. It works. What I want to do now is kind of pull over and show you what that looks like. So, what's a unique opportunity too that other dealers are doing is that because, with cloud cameras, there's unique RMR opportunities with cloud cameras because you don't really have a recorder. They're paying for hard drive space in the cloud. So your initial system costs are way lower. So what I've seen some dealers do as far as the RMR opportunities is actually charge more per month. I mean, some of them are getting $129, $225 a month, but charging next to nothing, just an install fee. It's simple to like the old ADT model, but they're including this cloud service, or they're allowing the customers to pay for the camera, charging them for the cloud service, and then putting the markup on that cloud service. So you have the basic cloud service, and then you have your cloud AI plus. This is another add-on that you can add on to their account. So once we know, and again, all these have to do is be plugged into a PoE, a 48-volt PoE switch, or powered by 12 volts and plugged into a network. They must have network access to have connection with the cloud. So what does that look like on the back end? Let's see if we can pull up. So this is going to be your dealer portal. Your dealer portal. Let's see that if I have access here. And so what this is going to do is first, we got a few different trees over here. Manage accounts is going to show us each of our accounts, how many cameras are in there, how many camera limits, or email date or email register date, typical customer information. Manage accounts, and obviously if we wanted to create an account, we would just create a new account and put the number of cameras we're allowed to have. And so a lot of people ask about billing. So we're going to bill you based off of the number of cameras that you have on your account, and you're the one that will assign those cameras downstream to your customer and then bill your customers. That's how the billing process goes. Manage cameras, it's going to show us every camera we have in place, what username, and then what group they're under, obviously, because we can change this stuff around, as you'll find under managed groups. Whether that camera is a motion detector, the status of that camera, or whether admin alerts are turned on and off. Device access, this is going to be the QR code that is under that. So it's a QR code number that's under the QR code on the back of the camera that we've been talking about. And you'll notice here we can export all this information if we choose to do so. So by managing groups, you'll see here that we can have the ability to be able to change groups, add groups, search for groups, but you'll see that it's bringing up all of your accounts, and then we can move them into groups. Billing history. So it's going to show you, it's pretty simple. It's going to show you the number of users that you have under each account, and then the number of cameras. And these accounts are going to be based off of the storage that they're choosing to use. And if anybody has any questions about storage, you can find out more of this information from your sales rep, or reach out to me afterwards and I'll get you in touch with a sales rep. Edit admin profile. So if we want to change anything about the admin account, including pictures, same thing for admin settings. You want to change your logo. So this whole thing is designed to where it's got your logo, your OEM brand. We want this coming, and then camera health check notification. If you have health checks turned on, which again is another RMR opportunity, it's going to go to whatever emails you have them in this account. So if that was your service, if you wanted any type of notifications for health checks to go to your service department, you could enter a service email down here and they would receive those notifications. So this is the dealer side. Pretty simple. So now let's see if we can hop into all right, your logo here, .specotech.cloud, obviously your name and logo there. All right. And right off the bat here, I'll notice I will say that we're fixing a plugin issue, and we've been ongoing with it for about a week or two now. We're seeing a red hue only whenever the camera is in, only whenever the live view is in a small screen. It's not being recorded under this level. It's not being shown on the app under this level. It is simply whenever we're showing it live on the small screen. But so this is what your dealer is also going to be seeing. I'm sorry, your end user on their end. So very simple. Your logo would be here, right? So they're going to see your company name. It's going to show them the cameras that they have up. Once we click on an individual camera, we can choose to turn the mic on, make it full screen. And you'll see here live that I'm seeing all of my events. Now it's saving events and sending me events if I have them, but it's also showing me, it's going to be saving in full scheduled recording as well too. So I have the capabilities of live, seeing motion events. And as far as events go, I have the capabilities of programming what I want those events to be. So a few different things you can do here. If we go to events, event filters. So this is under searches, whether we can do motion. So obviously it's going to show us motion tags, but we have the capabilities of coming in here. And this is the Cloud AI Plus that we were talking about earlier. This was released as a beta version. It's something that will continue to progress with some firmware updates to some certain cameras, to There'll be a few changes with some stuff because obviously with AI plus, there's a lot of analytics. This stuff is ran in the background. So right now it's released as a beta as far as the full release goes. What this is just another option for you to be able to help your searches out and make those searches go a little quicker. But to sum it up: truck, vehicle, person, motorcycle, hat, glasses, dog, car, bus, bicycle, bag, backpack, animal. So we have the capabilities of also being able to search on this timeline for a few of those things. We can search. This is for the past hour, 6 hours, 12 hours, 24, forward, back, obviously go live, the same kind of setup we would have with most anything. Under Event Explorer, so you'll notice here that we are creating events. We're creating for whatever we have selected under like the test. That is what I've got. People, car. I think I have. Let's edit this and see. So under test, there's just showing me my basic, which are people, motion, showing my basic analytics, right? So under events, I can do different things. Like I can have an event as motion. Actually, let me just go through and we'll just rename this one. All right, so this one's going to be demo cameras. We're going to select got 2 cameras up right now. Camera 3 and insert camera. Okay, events. So under events, what we're looking for, obviously, we got a few different options here: sharp, fog, face, defocus. We'll do face. Now you also have some options here as far as Cloud AI Plus, same thing: backpack, bag, bicycle, bird, bus, car, cat, dog, glasses, hat, motorcycle, person, truck, vehicle. So we'll just say we're looking for a bag. Now you can say is greater than, equal to, one more, or you can actually come on here and do other analytics too. So there's no events with that, but any events that have, if I see any of those events, or if I'm searching for what I was looking for, they're going to pop up at this time. Okay. We can also come in here and create a view. I presume there's going to be quite a few for that one. All right, so we have the capabilities of creating a view. We have the capabilities of looking in the last hour, today, yesterday, custom, oldest, newest, export filtered events. As far as filters go, so if we're looking for a filter, let me just stop that. If we're looking for, there it is, there's my motion. If I'm looking for particular filters, so I don't want to see anything unless it comes through, I can select a certain camera. I can say that you have to have motion. Actually, no, we'll just say an alarm. So let's say that I had this camera, heard the alarm going off. I don't want this. Motion audio. So I have the capability of being able to combine filters where there was motion and also audio. So what's unique about this is that it's actually using the mic on the camera to be able to tell me that there's audio during this motion. So what it's seeing there is people talking or music in the background. So I have the capabilities of creating filters, and that's what this filter is going to see, is whatever I see on this, or the filter is going to create what is on this event screen for the timeline. So you have a few different opportunities here. And then when we go into the main account here, if there's upgrades available, schedules. So we can add. So if I want to add different people to, now this is the end user account. So if that end user wants notifications go to more people, they have capabilities of doing so by adding users. We can put when they come in on schedules. We can manage users, add users. So if there's sub-level people that want to be able to have the cloud access, You have that capability. What's also unique is that you can also add a network attached storage device. So if you're wanting to get a little bit extra storage, not only from the cloud service, but you can use the network attached storage device as well. Let's see here. So this is going to be a pretty good overview as far as our cloud goes. What does it look like? Which cameras? So to recap, we've talked a little bit about which cameras we can put on the cloud service. We've talked about how easy it is to put them on the cloud. We've talked about what it looks like from the dealer side of it. And then we've also talked about what it looks like on the end user side of it. So moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about analytics and more or less, I really just kind of want to go into and just instead of going into analytics as a deep dive, I want to talk a little bit about like what type of analytics do we have? What options do you have as far as how are we going to maintain these analytics if we're into a customer for we're tying that into a maintenance agreement? How do we be able to manage that customer if A, they want to add these services, or B, they want to remove these services, or C, they just don't want to, they don't pay, so we have to turn them off. That's just a part of the business we live in. So a few different things before I jump into a recorder. Under AI functions, under the dashboard, you'll notice here that we have line crossing, facial recognition, license plate recognition, and intrusion. So any of the cameras that are able to run these functions or are currently running these functions, you're able to turn those on and off. Let's see. So none of them are running intrusion. Let's go to, let me switch over to a different account. All right. So what you'll see here is that under Speco Office Demo, line crossing 08 FBMS1, so it's going to show me each of my cameras. They're online, status available, inactive, active channel. So I have the capabilities of coming over here and simply moving that over by turning on and off those features. There we go. Success. So we have successfully turned on. And we can do this. So if we return the AI functions, I can do this for any of our analytics that are involved in line crossing, facial recognition, which is also what you need to be able to turn on people and vehicle detection. So if we want to be able to add that vehicle and people detection into a Encompass install maintenance agreement, we maintain that for you. You maintain that for the customer. But it's easy if I don't want that, if that customer does not want that anymore, the people and vehicle detection, all I got to do is come in here and turn off line crossing or intrusion, whichever one it's using for that analytic in the account. So we can do this with line crossing. We can do this with facial recognition, license plate recognition, and intrusion. All right. So moving on. All right. What this looks like in the recorder. Let's hop back over here into the recorder. So let's talk about which analytics are available, which analytics are tied to the dashboard. And so if we just hop over here into AI event. So line crossing and intrusion. Line crossing and intrusion are what you're going to use to be able to turn on. You see, you'll notice here that we have under our detection target, human, motor vehicle, non-motor vehicle. Same thing with line crossing, right? And if we go to face recognition, if we go to trigger mode, oops. So face recognition, if we turn on face detection, we're going to see faces, right? Not quite human bodies. Bodies are going to be more under our line crossing and intrusion. People detection. Same thing with an LPR. The LPR camera. Now, any of our cameras, you'll notice here, if we're using like line crossing, we've got motor vehicles, non-motor vehicles. So it's more about camera specific. So if you need to make notes or put in the dashboard, which camera is actually running the intrusion detection to get in that vehicle or that people, so you would know which one to turn off. But which analytics are available? You saw facial recognition under there. You saw license plate recognition. You saw line crossing and intrusion. And we also saw tampering. Let's just pull it up real quick so we can verify. I'm gonna get rid of it. Log in real quick. And I will say, as far as keeping track of my demo accounts, this dashboard has made it so easy on me. I mean, I've got 5, 6, 7 different accounts that I use the demo. I'm always adding one when we have new products come out. And even from my level, this has really streamlined, and the consistency of me not needing to look for IP addresses, knowing what firmware versions are out, being able to demo different recorders has substantially increased. And so I know that on a dealer level, once you start using this on your recorders, it's going to do the same thing for you. But if we go back into AI functions, line crossing, facial recognition, license plate recognition, and intrusion. So those are the options that you currently have from the dashboard. This will continue to expand as we move into some things like temperature detection with our thermal camera, object abandonment. I know that certain cameras right now can run the object abandonment. So this particular camera is our DD1 camera that everybody might have seen at the show. If not, tying a big kick and some stuff that we've learned from the show is that, tying cameras together, the ability to be able to put deterrents together. These are the things that are really kind of leading the edge as far as integrating camera systems with alarm systems. We can have an output from the recorder going into an input of a zone on the alarm panel, and then actually address that zone under right here. We come in here and address that zone and alarm system, and then through the app, we're able to see, okay, here's my alarm system. If I hit this virtual relay, it's going to trigger alarm output 1, which goes to my alarm panel. So we have the capabilities of triggering alarm systems from our recorders. We have the capabilities of triggering cameras. Like this particular one was the DD1. This is the camera that you're seeing here. But this camera will also do object abandonment or removal. So not quite the exact way I was wanting to show, but so I'm using this camera in my garage just for training purposes. I had this box here boxed off. That box gets picked up, it triggers the camera. So, you can do this with vehicles, you can do this with a lot of different things, but not only this camera I can log into through my phone and trigger it, because again, if we look under settings, AI event notification, that same alarm out option that I named alarm out for that to the alarm system I have here. You'll see here DD1, so garage strobe. So it's labeled garage strobe. When I pull up my app under my outputs, my triggers, I actually see a garage strobe. So by just coming in, naming it, using the right cameras, I can give those customers the ability to be able to remotely trigger their alarm system, trigger a camera, or I can trigger multiple cameras. So many different options. I like to say we can do a lot with the system, and what's unique about that is that our system is very robust. It's very easy to use. The dashboard links up to it with the 1.47. Everything is kind of Google Chrome compatible. So we're making this a very seamless opportunity for the dealers. Building value into these services. I think we've kind of covered that the entire time. We find a lot of different options for different. Everybody says, hey, what are they charging per camera? How are they billing this? I mean, how are you encompassing maintenance? How are you encompassing cloud? And everybody has had different solutions because everybody looks at kind of what they're doing in their area, the average price per camera. I can say that our cloud storage is significantly cheaper than 4 or 5 other common, without throwing names out there. We are one of the cheapest cloud solutions on the market right now. Our dashboard, as far as what does it cost to bring a recorder into this, is simply $1 a recorder a month. So, there's a lot of wiggle room for you on, even if you were charging, you know, what I will say is that the common denominator I see is $3 to $10 per camera on maintenance agreements, on guaranteeing that camera to stay up. We're not saying we're going to come out and fix it the next day. We're saying we're going to contact you within 24, 48 hours and set up an appointment. So then I've seen some of them that we will fix it within 24 hours. We will fix it within 48 hours. It really depends on your level of support, what you feel comfortable supporting, and what is that customer going to pay you? What is your break-even point? So a lot of different decisions go into, and you're welcome to reach out and say, hey, here's kind of and we'll help out any way we can. May put you in touch with somebody else that's doing it. So if anybody has any questions, let's see right now. No questions so far. We got a quiet group. If anybody wants to reach out to me afterwards, feel free to do so. That pretty much covers, what we've covered today is different RMR opportunities, and where those lie is maintenance agreements for cameras, for recorders, also for making sure that the firmware updates are up to date on cameras and on recorders, and all this is done through the dashboard already. Cloud-based platforms, Speco cloud-based platforms, and then the Speco cloud-based AI Plus platform, which gave you some more of the AI Plus features. Pulled up, which were the people, vehicle, backpack, hat, those sort of things. Also analytics. We've discussed about how analytics can be roped into this whole thing through the dashboard. We have the capability of turning on and off analytics, and also, simply you can remote into that camera. And a big feature I will say, since this whole ADT remoting in thing has happened, actually just got a personal message here from one of you all that asked a question, and it's okay. The dashboard, one thing that we have noted is that there will be a change coming very shortly, and where it goes to this connect feature, we will have the ability to be able to turn off that live feed. So you'll see here that we connected. You will have the capabilities of being able to turn off that live feed or only have live feed access to certain levels. So it is something that we are changing. We always change with the environment, and when we see things out there, everybody, things come, things go, but we learn based off of people's mistakes. And I will say that Speco is smart. We learn from our mistakes, but not only our mistakes, other people's mistakes. And any company, anybody on this call can also say that's the way that you probably learn. So, we're all here with you. Any advice or input that you have that could make the dashboard better. I will say on our roadmap, some things that are already coming out are the ability to be able to add different users, not users that are able to use the app to bring in recorders, but sub-level users, to where if you had different people in your organization that needed different access, if you had certain end users that were larger customers with multi-sites, and that was a good fit for Speco and a good fit for you, you can add sub-levels on that level as well. The remote push firmware is something that's on the game plan as well. But I think one of the biggest thing that's on the horizon that will probably happen very, very shortly is the ability for our QR code. The ability for our access control will also be listed on the dashboard. So not only will you see recorders out in the field, but you also see our access control solutions. So, and again, $1 a recorder. So we're obviously not here to make money off this. I think we're probably paying something, I don't know, maybe the phone bill to answer these questions. But at the end of the day, this is a platform for us that's growing. This is the opportunity to jump in now. Let's see here. We got a question. I get asked if we will ever be able to submit bad AI events. The only solution now is to lower the percentage. Are you talking about now, Darren? Are we talking about the recorder level, or are we talking about the cloud solution? Yeah. So currently, right now, the record. So to kind of dumb it down, our AI platform, our AI bot, is out there on the cameras. It is not we're not a server-based solution, and a lot of your AI events, like for instance, I had Wise cameras for quite a bit. And Wise cameras, it would ask you, is this a cat? Is this a dog? And you could submit to it, And a lot of those programs, because they're server based, because they're cloud based, is that those analytics aren't being run on the camera itself. We'll get that, John, in a second. So we're basically running an AI bot as a program. It's not adaptive or learning. So the reason why that we also don't charge you with a licensing on the analytics is because of this reason. You know, our analytic platform is more meant for the masses. And if we started to get into server based, which, you know, we are moving, you will see shortly, our cloud based platform is making a transition, we'll say. You will find that the cloud based solutions will be more robust with allowing some adaptive changing compared to our recorder, because again, we are here for the masses on our AI, and we want to maintain a free platform. And there we go, Darren. I keep rambling on about this for days, but I appreciate it. It just allows us to be able to keep the product for free and keep giving you more for less. Speco cloud cameras are capable of sending push notifications to Android and Apple devices for cameras and events instead of emails. Yes, they are. Let me actually pull mine up here and see how I get those events. So the way that I get them is as I get them through a push notifications. So if I have whatever event I have set up for my cloud cameras, so let's say that I have obviously tampering set up on my cloud cameras by default. So if that camera comes out, I will get a push notification if I have the app on my phone, or I will also get an email that will pop up as an email notification on my phone. So hopefully that answers your questions. But yes, you will need to be running the Cloud Connect app to get those notifications. It's 2:57. Let's see, we'll go through. If anybody doesn't have any more questions, then we'll hop off here in about 2 minutes. I want to thank everybody for staying on. This is another great week, great attendance. If anybody has anything that they want to, so Thursday is going to be a really cool one. We're going to be working with the DD1 camera, the DD2 camera, and then also we'll be working with our PTZs. So for those that aren't, we saw the DD1, the DD2 is going to be our other new digital deterrent that has the light on top. This was one of our featured items at IC West. It's got a siren inside of it. And actually, I'm sorry, it's not a siren, but this one actually talks to you and says you're trespassing on private property. It's got 3 little messages on the inside, or a dip switch settings on the inside to switch those to pre-recorded messages back and forth. Yeah, so we can use AI, and then what I'll be doing in my webinar is I'll be putting together 2 or 3 of these on my system here, and I'll be showing you how to access that camera directly. A little sneak peek, we'll come in here, a camera. We'll be showing you how to access those cameras directly. And then also how to turn on some of their features and turn them off if you want to use a camera level or if you want to use a recorder. But more importantly, we'll show you how to, when we're setting up analytics, we'll show you how to group these. First off, we'll show you how to name the alarm outputs on those cameras. So that way, if we're pulling up the app or we're trying to name stuff, that address rolls downstream. And then we'll show you how to come into the analytics, and by choosing whatever it is we're doing, you can see here my squad's out. When under trigger mode, we can come out here based off certain events. We'll be able to actually show you how to trigger multiple strobes or multiple lights. So it'll be a unique webinar. Then we'll pull up our 25X PTZ, I think I've got here, and I got installed. So we'll pull up some PTZs. We'll go through some features as far as adding presets. We'll mess with the smart tour a little bit, smart tracking. So yeah, Thursday is going to be a fun one. If anybody has any questions or if you need links to that, you should get them emailed to you. And as always, those that were on this webinar will get an emailed link to this webinar shortly after we go through and edit it and make sure it's all pretty. So I want to thank everybody for staying on. It's 3 p.m. We will see everybody Thursday. If you have any personal questions or any advice, input, reach out to me directly. Thanks, everybody.